ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the world of V-Gaming Junkie News. The Dross was smitten by the fused shadows, so there's nothing but pure gaming-related meatiness. It's certainly all about the electronic good stuff as we dive deep in all that's new in the various interactive virtual worlds. I should also mention that due to the results of a poll, I'll be alternating news videos and game reviews, so this news will be every 2 weeks instead of every week. I'll try to find some interesting news stories between those 2 weeks, but in the meantime, it's time for your feature presentation. So Bethesda is locking gameplay features behind a mandatory login. You heard right, the Evil Within's first-person mode and infinite ammo are apparently grayed out and require you to log on to Bethesda's servers to actually utilize. Anyone else getting flashbacks to when they did crap just like this just to access the original Doom? Bethesda isn't really justifying this apart from, quote, unforeseen issues, so it definitely smells fishy. I suspect that they'll soon release a patch to conveniently fix those unforeseen issues that definitely have nothing to do with Bethesda trying to force people to register an account or anything. I'm sure these unfortunate accidents will keep mistakenly occurring until Backlash miraculously allows them to fix it. You keep being, you Bethesda, and see where it gets you. In other news, the PS3, the PSP, and the Vita are getting shut down. Specifically the PlayStation Store for those devices. Sony has made it clear that they're shutting down services entirely for PSP and PS3 on July 2nd, with Vita's store closing on the 27th of August. It doesn't seem like it'll affect cross-buy for what that's worth. Probably at the request of their lawyers to prevent a potential lawsuit, you can still download stuff you already purchased, you just won't be able to buy new stuff following those dates. The news of this has actually caused many Vita developers to halt development, such as Lilymo Games. According to Push Square, some games such as Russian Subway Dog and Hand Cannon Janky are releasing as intended, although you definitely want to pick up the pace for that since August is right around the corner. Apparently, Lilymo Games bought a Vita dev kit pretty recently, and Sony never told them about their plans to shut down the stores. Don't you just love corporate crap? It seems like Sony's been swimming in a lot of it lately. So Mario was summarily executed on the 31st for his crimes of Nintendo creating artificial scarcity. Obviously that's a joke, but the internet was apparently lit up with memes about Nintendo killing Mario, and it's not hard to imagine why. Cell 3 barely touched up ports at full price and then created artificial demand by having a cutoff date when it would cost them pennies to keep hosting it digitally. You ask me, this just goes to show that even Nintendo isn't immune to that good old human greed, especially with their older games. King K actually made a really great point on how the Kirby's Dream Collection was far more polished for a collection game and had things like trivia information and a unique 3D type of menu selection system. So yeah, Mario may not be literally dead, but I think it's pretty obvious that a lot of the passion Nintendo used to have is dead in the ground, and I'm not sure it's coming back anytime soon. Their new games for the most part are passion projects, but it's clear that they only paid lip service to their past entries. It's probably no wonder they feel so threatened by emulators and fan games, but that's just my perspective. Don't worry, I'm not going to spend this entire news video preaching doom and gloom. For some brighter news, it never ceases to amaze me what some people can do with sandbox creation tools like Dreams. Games Radar has brought it to my attention that YouTuber Bad Robo is showing off a jungle environment made with it, and to say it looks breathtaking is an understatement. Every blade of grass, every drop of water falling down to earth, even what looks like a golem head to show off the water physics, it's absolutely amazing. It's kind of funny how one of the best showcases of the PS5's power was made in essentially user-created toolkit. I recommend checking out Bad Robo's YouTube channel because this actually isn't the only thing he's made, and he's even done a few tutorials on the subject. Almost makes me wish I had a PS5. I suppose that wish will just have to remain in my dreams. So if you're interested in trying out Elder Scrolls Online, then you're in luck. Up until the 13th, it's free to try. This is on all platforms it's actually available on, of course, including Google Stadia for all 5 of you still using that. Joking aside, it's always good to see demos and trials made available for free. I know I'll certainly be giving it a spin when I can find the time. I've enjoyed Oblivion and Skyrim well enough, so I'm sure I'll find some enjoyment here. So, if you ever wanted to mine Bitcoin but you don't have a powerhouse computer, well, you're in luck, because apparently an old Gameboy can mine Bitcoin. Don't lie, the YouTuber Stack Smashing actually managed to turn an original Gameboy into a Bitcoin miner. Okay, so it's not quite that simple. It's hooked to a Raspberry Pi Pico, and the hash rate is an abysmal 0.8 hashes per second, so I wouldn't count on using your old Gameboy to strike it rich or anything, but it's still pretty neat. I guess this goes to show that even the weakest of hardware can be used to mine crypto, although it probably isn't worth the electrical bill, so I'd file it purely under interesting little oddity for now. What impractical but pretty nifty gadgets will these hackers and clever engineers come up with next? So in other news, a cargo ship was recently stuck in the Suez Canal and blocked traffic flow. Although it was refloated and freed from the canal, the internet blew up with memes surrounding it. As for how all this could possibly relate to video games, one such meme magic comes from a user named Zepengoyan35 modding the cargo ship into Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. He's made it perfectly clear that it isn't meant to simulate the traffic jams that resulted from it, but it's still pretty amusing to go into this little virtual space and see a halted ship that was actually like that in the real world. According to Game Informer, though, another mod actually does simulate the traffic jam that resulted if you actually wanted to be somewhat more realistic. Either way, though, this is quite an amusing little mod, and even better than the one I saw that had an overlay of the cargo ship into what appeared to be Google Maps. It even had the option to scale to its actual size, which conformed to zooming in or out. At least the Flight Simulator mod turned a horrible inconvenience into a source of laughter, and there's nothing wrong with that. So anyone infatuated with the vampire lady from Resident Evil Village, Lady Dimitrescu, can now rejoice because she's become real. Don't worry, there's no tall vampire ladies looking to rip your throat out just yet, but the 6'9" modeler Ekaterina Lucina decided to cosplay as the now internet-famous Big Beauty. She made a video on her Instagram of talking to a phone while looking in the mirror, very reminiscent of the vampire herself. While this still doesn't compare to the actual vampire's height, 9'6", interestingly enough, she's probably as close as you're gonna get. You know, without stilts or some height-lengthening measure like medieval stretch torture or something. Either way, it's a valiant effort, and I applaud her tall efforts to cosplay the very voluptuous Victorian vampire. I've heard people being better or worse matches for cosplays than others, but I think it's safe to say that only Ekaterina could cosplay this with any remote degree of faithfulness. And as always, from the page of Games Radar, it's time for this week's roundup of release dates. Much like with the news stories, this will be the following 2 weeks, so prepare for an extra beefy list. The 6th sees Lost Worlds Beyond the Page for the Old Band of 4, Oddworld Soulstorm for PC, PS4, and PS5, and Star Wars Republic Commando for PS4 and Switch. The 7th sees Quintera for PC and Rocket League Season 3 for all 6 systems. The 8th starts out with Before Your Eyes for PC and Borderlands 3 Director's Cut DLC for PC, PlayStation, and Xbox, new and old. This is followed up by Scarlet Hood and The Wicked Wood for PC and What the Dub for the Old Band of 4. The 9th has Say No More and Trials of Fire for PC. Demon Skin for PC and Final Fantasy XIV Open Beta release on the 13th. Finally, the 15th has Ashwalkers A Survival Journey for PC and Saga Frontier Remastered for PC, PS4, and Switch. This week's epic freebie until next Thursday is Tales of the Neon Sea, an investigative side-scroll in a world with tension between humans and robots. Next week's freebie starting from the 8th to the 15th is 3 out of 10 Season 5. Looks to be an adventure game about game devs trying to make a game that scores better than 3 out of 10. And as always, that rounds out this news week. I hope you enjoyed it and were well enough informed. As always, I Let's Play every single day, 10 a.m. and 2 p.m, live stream Mondays and Fridays unless otherwise specified at 4:30 p.m, and these news programs are every other Sunday at 6 p.m. due to game review alternations. That's Eastern Standard Time, of course, but you can always subscribe and attack that bell icon if you don't want to worry about keeping track of time zones. A like is always appreciated, but I just hope you genuinely liked it, and that is it for now. Thank you so much for tuning in with me. Spread this video around like the depths of human greed, and I'll see you next time. Capitalize on life, peace out, have a good one, and I'll see you next week with that game review.